And hello to you. Welcome along to another United Kingdom talk from myself, Chris Reardon. And I've just realised, those of you that watch the video side of things, you don't get that jingle at the beginning, do you? Saying, from this bit, this one. You don't actually get this. Hang on, let me find it. Where is it now? You don't get this, do you?
From the Mirrorball studio in Royal Berkshire, this is Chris Reardon.
You don't get that, do you? I don't think you do anyway. No, you get the Union Jack. I've just realised that. Oh, you're missing out on something. You see, there are benefits to watching the YouTube video and listening to the MP3 from unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. There's different benefits. I shall have to find some way of inserting that... Inserting that... I beg your pardon? No, the music, dear. I shall find some way of inserting that little jingle in future programmes, hopefully. Maybe not by the next one. That means I'll have to redo the opening video and all that business. Oh, it's all very complex, dear. The work never stops. Now, there's an email address to the show. It's Chris at United Kingdom... I can't get myself comfortable. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk is the email address, all right? Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Now, while the last show... Oh, incidentally, you know James Dean? James Dean, yes, from the matineeshow.co.uk. He does that little show with Madam Aries on a small station. I can't remember where it is now, dear. It's somewhere up north, dear. But he does this little podcast. James, if you ever want to find out, I always seem to get the web address wrong for that one. I think it's matineeshow.co.uk. But if you just type in, it's so much easier if you just type in James Dean and Madam Aries Matinee Show into Google, and you'll find it there somewhere. Okay. Anyway. Can't remember what it was, but he rung up last week. I think, as always, he was begging for money, you know. Oh, hello, Chris, you know, the cat's sick and we can't afford to have the thing. And it's usually something like that. But anyway, he rung up last week and we were having a conversation, and he was mentioning that he listened to a couple of the chat shows. And he said, do you know what he actually said? I can't believe it. You see? He said, quote, "You must be getting a bit of a paunch now with those pasties you keep eating." I can't believe it. Can you? Even he's at it now. He's on the whole way. A bit of a paunch. I said to him, what a cheek. A bit of a paunch. As he looks at himself, I remember that time he came down here. Do you remember? Was last, I think it was around November last year, wasn't it? Oh, it rang up begging on the phone. Oh, please, can I stay in your house? You know, I mean, the fact that it was free of charge, but he didn't mention that. Of course, I didn't charge him. I think I should have done, to be honest. But I didn't charge him for staying in the room next door. Absolutely not. But, you know, he was begging me on the phone. I remember then. And I looked at him then and I thought, oh, you're getting a bit fat. But I didn't like to say anything. I mean, you don't, do you? Decent people don't mention it. A bit of a paunch, he said. What a cheek, dear. Anyway, that's the James Dean news out of the way. Now, I mentioned his cat. There's actually nothing wrong with his cat. He's got a cat. He's only got the one cat called Socks. Now, you remember in the last show, or was it the show before? One of the two. I told you that Tiny, my dear, dear old cat, had to go to the vet to have a little paw because her nail had been growing into her paw. Do you remember the story I told you? Well, today I have taken her back to the vet and I had a feeling she'd put on weight. You remember in the last show that I said we'd gone to the vet had cut her nails and he'd had to pull one of the nails out where it had actually grown into her pad. Now, I should have noticed this, but unfortunately I didn't. However, the vet sorted it out and she screamed a bit in the surgery while she was having this minor operation done to her. I mean, miserable cow. Honestly, dear. I mean, you've got to stand there, British, and just take the pain, haven't you? Take the pain. Anyway, so he sorted her out, gave her some antibiotics, and he also mentioned to me that she'd lost some weight, and I kind of understood that, because she doesn't actually eat a lot. You put down this cat food, it walks off. So when I got her back from the vets that day, I decided, and I showed you, I bought all this normal human food, like tins of corned beef, ham, this, that, and the other. I also got some little turkey chunks that you can buy in a packet. They're not very expensive, really. Well, I say that. I mean, they're more expensive than pet food, but never mind. So I cooked them on the oven, on the cooker, boiled them for about 20 minutes, put a bit of gravy, chicken gravy powder with it as well to give it a bit of flavour, and that's what she's been eating since. And I had a feeling she'd put on a bit of weight. So I was down the vets this afternoon, was about 12 midday. Yeah, ever such nice. They're always nice in vets, aren't they? Have you noticed that? Even the girls on the till or on the reception, they're always nice people in veterinary surgeons. Why aren't they like that in doctors, eh? No, I have to lie there, and that is a lie, because the girls in my doctors are always very pleasant. You always get an appointment within 24 hours. And I've been to the doctors as well, incidentally, but we'll come on to that. We can't do everything at once, dear. Please be patient. So many stories to tell you today. So much to talk about. So much. Anyway, I know what you're saying. Get on with it. I'm trying to get on with it. If you stopped saying get on with it, we could get on with it, couldn't we? So, down the vets today. All week long, she's been having tins of this and tins of that and home-cooked turkey, cooked with my fair hands, because, you know, I'm turning into my mother now. I am turning into mother. She would sit there and cook the dog Max, steaks and chops and everything. She'd sit there with a bowl of tomato soup. The same thing's happening to me today. Yes, today I have cooked more turkey chunks for my cat and sat there and had beans and cheese on toast. With the Mull of Kintyre cheese that I told you. Have you tried that yet? If you're in the UK, pop to Sainsbury's and try some Mull of Kintyre cheese. Oh, it's delicious. 2 for £4. There's not a lot left. You'll have to be quick now. I told you last week to get that, didn't you? Didn't I, eh? You've got to move as soon as I tell you, because these special offers, they go like that. They suddenly appear and they disappear in a puff of smoke. Right, so she's been eating that. So I thought to myself, I bet she's put on a bit of weight, because she did look a little bit bigger. Took her to the vets. First thing I said to him, can he weigh her again? So he weighed her. He says, oh, yes, she's actually put on quite a bit for a cat. You know, a lot for, you know, if I put on £4 in a week, we'd be worried. It's an awful lot. The cat, on the other hand, puts on sort of a bit of a kilo, and they say that's a lot to put on. And she had put on weight, so I'm very pleased with that. So he says, how did you manage that? I said, well, I've been given her all human food. I said, corned beef, all this. I said, because quite frankly, she doesn't like the cat food. And for a long time, I've been putting down cat food. She takes one mouthful and then she walks off with her tail in the air. So, I mean, it's kind of, yes, it's probably dearer to buy stuff like corned beef and ham. But on the other hand, if she eats it all, and you're not throwing it away, it probably works out the same anyway, doesn't it? Huh? And she's so grateful. She purrs away when that food goes down. So the vet was pleased about that. But he did say, you might want to try her on, cat senior food. Apparently, well, I found out they do now. I've often noticed this in the supermarket. They do senior cat food for cats that are 8 years or more over. Well, this poor old soul's over 20, so I think she falls into that category. So I got her, strangely enough, he says, oh, we do sell that here if you want to buy some. So I thought, oh, you know, he's trying to sell me cat food now. I thought to myself. So I did buy a small tin. Like this tin was like that. It was 90p. 90p, dear, for one tin. So I thought I'd try on that on the vet's advice. Anyway. He had to look at her paw where it was all infected before, and it had all dried up quite well. So I was only in there about 15 minutes, and he sent me on my way. And that's it. So we have a well pussy once again. My pussy is better. No longer is her little paw weeping. She is not leaking anymore. My pussy is so much better. I'm so happy about that, boys and girls. There's nothing worse than a sick pussy, is there? There isn't. The poor old thing. She meows and she wants attention and that sort of thing. We need to look after our pussies. And that's it. Good. She is better. Thank you for your kind emails that have been pouring in, wondering if my poor little pussy's all right. She's okay now, my darlings. She's much better and she's putting on weight, and she will continue to eat human food, darling. Human food for my pussy. There we are. So that's the news on the cat there. I know you have been waiting, haven't you? I know what else you're waiting for. You're waiting for me to tell you about where did I meet this gorgeous bloke on Saturday night, aren't you? Well, wait a bit longer, my darlings, because not only has the cat been ill, I too have been poorly, but not kind of, not badly poorly or suddenly. This is an ongoing problem. Regular listeners and viewers to the show will know I do have a bit of a problem with itchy ears, and it's been getting quite bad recently. So I've been to the doctor, and I also had an itchy eye as well. So, number one, he's given me a tube of ointment for my eye, which actually I've only used once, this little tube of ointment on the eye there. It says on there, hang on a minute, one minute. Let me read this. I tend not to read instructions foolishly, and you should read the instructions. I think it says apply, I'm sure it says somewhere 3 times a day. Oh, hang on, where is it? 4 times a day, it says, and he's typed it on there, 4 times a day. Well, to be honest, I've only put one lot on my eye, and it seemed to cure the problem, whatever that was. So, if it gets itchy again, I'll put it on, but you're supposed to throw it away after a month anyway, so I'll do that. But that's just a normal thing. I've had this stuff before, so that's worked quite well. But also, I told him about my itchy ears. He's had a look in the ear, and one of them, this one here, the one on the right, apparently is all a bit red and inflamed inside. And the other one, he said there was a lot of dry wax in there. But he's given me not ear drops, but they now have ear spray. Look at this. It's a little bottle, little brown bottle, okay? And it's got like a spray thing on top. And a conical bit sort of on the right of it. And you simply insert this into your ear, and you push down like this, right? I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this. Right, I'm going to push this in my ear, just gently in the ear hole like that, okay? And then you push down, and it... where's the instructions now? Well, I haven't got them here. And it dispenses a measured piece of the liquid, what's in there, into your ear hole. You're supposed to shake it first. See if you can hear it as it goes in my ear. Listen carefully. Listen very carefully now. Listen. Oh, did you hear that? How camp is that? Look at that. I love it. So no longer, because what I did last time I had this ear problem, I had ear drops. And of course, it's always very difficult to keep the damn stuff in your ear, isn't it? So at bedtime, I would I put because fortunately I do sleep with my head to one side. I look a bit like a dog now, don't I? Pardon? What do you mean you've always looked like a dog? How rude you are. I sleep a little bit like a dog with my head sort of slightly tilted to one side. Does it make me look cute when I do that, I wonder? You know, like dogs, when they tilt their head to one side, they go like that, don't they, when they listen? And I thought, oh, how cute is that? Does it work for me as well? Now, I just want you to close your eyes and imagine me tilting my head to one side like this. Does it make me look cute at all? I just wondered. So that's good. With the drops, of course. So you're on the bed, your head's on the pillow like this, and you'd have to drop this ear stuff in your ear hole and then literally fall asleep trying to keep that head that way. And in the morning, you'd often wake up with a slightly damp pillow where all the liquid had run out of the ear again. So not very good. But this stuff, I've been using this for a couple of days now, this ear spray, and seems to be working quite well. This ear hasn't itched at all since the first spray. So it works very well, doesn't it? The only thing is I am continuing to do my swimming, and probably I'm kind of thinking to myself, maybe I shouldn't swim while I'm using that stuff. I don't know, really. The thing is, once it's used up again and then you go swimming again, what's the difference? Whether you stop now for a while or not. Anyway, I'll let you know how that goes, all right. So that's my little trip to the doctors. Oh, it's quite funny with the doctors, because I actually, we have a recycling area near the doctor's surgery. So, of course, when was it I went? A couple of mornings ago, anyway. So I went down to the doctor's, and I thought, well, I'll double up. I'll do 2 things at once here. I'll take my recycling stuff down to the paper and the bottle bank. I mean, I don't drink. I haven't got bottles of wines and stuff. But, the glass jar of gravy powder. So I had this glass jar in the bag, along with a few old bits of paper, and because I've got 1 minute. You see all my paper, I use it twice. I always use my paper, both sides. Look at that. Both sides are always used, my darling. Yes, use both sides of the bits of paper. And when I've used them, I take them down to the recycling thing, which is near the doctor's surgery. So there I go. I've got 2 bags of recycling stuff. And I'm walking towards the doctor's surgery and I'm thinking, right, I'll pop this in the recycling. And for some reason, I completely forgot that I was carrying these 2 carrier bags full of rubbish. I've gone in the doctor's surgery without thinking about it, put my bags down on the floor. Hello, Mr. Reardon, come to see Dr. So-and-so. OK, take a number. So I've taken the number and I sat down. And I suddenly realised I've still got these 2 bags of recycling waiting to be done. And I was then called, of course, usually what I do in a doctor, the way the doctors work where I am, and I know it's the same for many other people, you collect a number, okay? On the board, they've got like these long pegs. And the last sort of everyone gets a number as they go in. So she gets number 1, he gets number 2, he gets number 3, number 4, number 5. And you might end up with number whatever, number 7 perhaps. And you go in and then you all sit down in this room. And then as the doctor starts, he calls your number in and it's always the next one. Now, usually, if, say, you're in there and number 7's on there, you might get there and have number 13. So you've got 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12 to go before you. So it's 5 people have to go in before it's your turn. So usually what I do is go and I pick a number. Well, you don't pick a number. They give you the next one. And then you look at the board. And, another 4 numbers before me. I'll pop over to the shops. And you can usually time it pretty well like that. I've never missed being called by being too long or anything like that. Because you tend to go out and you rush around. Perhaps go to paper because there's a newsagent quite close by as well. And then go back to the doctor and sit down when it's your turn. So I got my number. As I sat down, I realised I got these 2 bags of rubbish. I thought, well, I'll probably be able to pop those in. I looked at my number. I had number 9. And I looked at the board and it was number 8. So I was the next one anyway. And then I sat down. And there were 3 ladies sitting quite close to me. And I can't remember what I said to them. I thought, you know me. I like to talk to people. I like to have a conversation with people, as you know, okay? So I said to these ladies, I can't believe it, I've bought my recycling in here. And they just looked at me and looked away as if I was from another planet, dear. I mean, you try and be friendly, don't you? They don't want to know. People don't want to talk to you, do they? They must think I'm some sort of mad person. I get this a lot. I start talking to people and people just they suddenly look away. As if you don't actually exist. Oh, well, their loss, I thought to myself. And then very quickly my number was called. So I then went into the doctor and I apologised to him. I apologised to him for having these 2 bags of rubbish. And it's actually a new doctor. I've never seen him in there before. And he had stunningly piercing... It's okay. This is not the bloke that I fancied, incidentally. The doctor is not the one I fancied, okay? I just want to point that out. But this doctor, he had stunningly blue piercing eyes. Really, not scary, just lovely, really nice eyes he had, and told him the problem. And that's why he ended up coming out with these 2 items. £14.80 they were at the chemist. A lot of people complain about the price that we pay for prescription pharmaceutical items here in this country, in England. I gather in Scotland all your prescriptions are free there. Is that right? I don't know if we've got any Scottish listeners or viewers, but certainly here in the UK, I think it's about £7. Well, it was 40. It must have been just about £7 something per item. But my guess is something like this would cost more than £7.80. I don't know. So I'm usually quite happy to pay whatever the prescription charge is. A lot of people complain. And for some people, of course, who are not as fortunate as myself, they can't afford to pay that £7 odd. Now, I know there is like help for various people who are in difficulty, perhaps hardship with their things, but I'm not, and I'm sort of quite happy to pay it. So there we are, come out with my bits and pieces, and that's it. And then, of course, as soon as I came out of the doctor's, the first thing I did was go and chuck my recycling stuff away. What a good job I didn't have anything smelly. You could have had a couple of, cans of lager or something like that. But fortunately, I don't drink, dear. I do try and stay. Although I did have that one glass of champagne a few months ago, didn't I now? When I had afternoon tea at Fortnum and Mason's. Yes, very nice indeed. Now, so that's tiny news. We've had my doctor's news, and now Monty news. Monty, of course, is my niece's Labrador, who has, at this moment, as this programme is being recorded, Monty is now in the vet having a little operation on his knees. Monty is my niece's dog, and it's a chocolate Labrador. And apparently he's got everything wrong that a Labrador could possibly have. And it's such a shame because that dog is lovely. It's a really... We're not having much pet luck at the moment here, are we, in the UK at the moment? So he's having a little operation on his knees at the moment, and I'll let you know how that goes. He's actually in there at this very moment as we speak, and I need to speak to my niece to see how he's getting on. So that's that news. Now... how did I meet someone at the weekend? Unfortunately, he's not that way inclined. He was as straight as anything. Straight as anything. So, here we go. There I was, Saturday night, driving to work as I usually do, rigidly sticking to the speed limits, avoiding the cameras like the plague. I'm actually thinking now of taking alternative routes into my places of work just to avoid speed cameras. Do you think that will work? Huh? I could use my sat-nav. Actually, I've got a sat-nav story here that I got out of a newspaper at the weekend. Where are we now? It's here somewhere. Just a minute. It's my sat-nav story. 1 minute, it's here somewhere. Oh, here we are. Is the sat-nav turning us into dunces at map reading? It says Britons are losing basic map reading skills because of the rise of sat-navs and internet mapping, it was claimed yesterday. Now, the thing is with that, I bought my sat-nav because I'm useless at reading maps. It's always hard, isn't it, for people to comprehend that there are certain things that certain members of the public just can't do. It's all very well, these experts telling us that we're losing the ability to read maps because of sat-navs. What about those of us, like me, who have never had that ability? I have been taught to read a map. I have been taught to use a compass. But I can't. I can't match them up. My brain is not that way wired to be able to do that. And when these experts, it does annoy me when these experts come out and say that, oh, anyone can learn it like that. Okay, let's see. I wonder how many of these experts can play the piano. Huh? Exactly. Now, I can play the piano. My brain is wired to play the piano. It is not wired to read maps. That's why I got a sat-nav. It goes on to say here, a growing number of us are discarding atlases and paper maps in favour of satellite navigation that they hope will guide them effortlessly from A to B. Well, excuse me, I wouldn't say the sat-nav glides you effortlessly from A to B. It certainly, in my experience, doesn't always take you on the shortest and quickest route. However, it does seem to get you there. Now, personally, I do still have a map in the car. If something goes wrong, I can look at the map and probably at some point I will eventually be able to work out how to go. But I look at a map and I try and relate to where I am, and I just find it so difficult. Why is that? Why is it that my dad, completely opposite, when he was going from A to B, he would have the route. He would, before he left the house, perhaps the night before, if he was taking us to the seaside or somewhere like that, before he left, he would have that map book open and he will have worked out the route, okay? Also, in his head, he will have worked out various other routes to get to the same destination if we hit traffic. Oh, it was marvellous. He was absolutely fantastic at doing that sort of thing. I can't do it. I can't do it. I do believe I do believe in a mental block as well. If, for example, perhaps I've told myself I can't do it. And that doesn't help either, does it? It goes on to say, sales of street atlases are also falling as we increasingly use electronic maps on mobile phones and handheld computers. Also, of course, you've got those sites on the internet that you can say how to get from A to B. So you put your address from, for example, Bracknell to Reading, okay, and then it prints out this list of directions. Well, I hate to tell you this, but I've tried that method as well, and even that doesn't work for me. It says, go down the road 0.6 miles, turn right. Well, you go down the road, and then you keep looking right at all these roads, and you just can't find the one you want. Useless at finding my way from A to B. Anyway, back to Saturday's story. So I got in my car, usual time. Off I went to work. I would say, 3/4 of the way there, and I'm just driving along quite happily. And actually, I do drive reasonably slow. I actually drive so slow that it annoys my sister. Because I am now an economical driver. Oh yes, we don't like to buy more fuel than we need. As you know, I'm a very economical driver, dear. Okay? And it annoys my sister because I go so slow sometimes. So I'm driving along, quite happily, got as far 3/4 away, and all of a sudden, the car felt a bit lumpy. I thought, oh, that doesn't feel right, and I kind of lost power. Immediately, I pulled over, and I looked on my dash, and a warning light had illuminated. Bing! There was an orange warning light on my little Toyota Aygo's dashboard. I thought, oh no, what can the matter be? Oh, no, sorry. Carried away and dancing. Talking of singing, for some reason, all day long, I've been singing in my head, We Could Have Danced All Night. You know that one? We could have danced all night. Da, 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 from The King and I, of course. Remember that? The great Yul Brynner. So I then referred to my Toyota Aygo manual, and it said that I must immediately pursue to a Toyota garage. Now remember, this is 10:30 on a Saturday night. Guess what? That's right, no Toyota garage is open at that time, love. So I thought, oh, whoa, because of course I was on my way to work. First thing I did, I rung up work, told them I had a problem. Oh, I mean, no sympathy at all. Didn't get any. Oh, the answer was, oh, well, I'll have to do it then. No compassion whatsoever. What can you do, eh? You do try your best. And the one time that you want a bit of compassion, there's nothing. Never mind. So I said, I'll keep you informed. I'll ring up the RAC. I rung up the RAC. That's our one of the rescue people here in the UK, and told him the problem. Yes, you remember? Yes, his registration number, gave him. Yeah, okay, Mr. Reardon, we'll send someone out to you very shortly. Can I ring you back on this number in a second? Yes, of course. Thank you very much. Put the phone down. That was it. I then rung up work again, and I said, well, I've rung the RAC. He's going to get back to me and tell me how long it will take to get back. He said, okay then. He says, so I says, what was it he said then? I can't remember now. He says, do you know how long he'll be? I said, well, not sure yet. I'm waiting for him to ring back. He said, okay then. So I put the phone down, and that was that. A few minutes later, I then started ringing people, because I'm sitting there bored now in the car. It wasn't anywhere that was kind of out in the open all on its own. It was quite a busy road, so things to look at. You didn't get bored sitting there. Started ringing my sister and that, telling her what had happened and what have you. And then the other phone rang, and it was the RAC. And they rang back within 10 minutes. Fantastic. And he says, hello, Mr. Reardon. One of our crew will be with you within 20 minutes. I mean, that is what you call good. 100 marks to the RAC, okay? That is good service. I thank you very much. Put the phone down. So I then rang work once again. I said, hello, it's only me. He said, how's it going? I said, well, they're going to send the RAC man out in, I should have him here within 20 minutes, and then I'll do my best to come in if you want. And then he said, well, there's not much point in you coming in now, is there? And I'm like, oh, thanks very much. You know, you try, and it's not the money. It's not the money. You try and do your best, and that was the answer. Oh, well, not much point in you coming in now. It's the way it's worded, isn't it? You understand what I mean? It's the way it's worded. If he had said, oh, well, I'm really sorry to hear that, you know, do you want to come in, or why don't you just take the night off? We'll be fine. No, it wasn't like that. There's not much point in you coming in then, is there? It's just the way it's worded, isn't it? Eh? He watches this show as well. I tell you that he's going to die when he sees this. So that's that. Put the phone down, and I then lifted my bonnet so that when the breakdown truck came, they would be able to see which car had broken down. And I gave them good directions. I kind of drove the car a little bit up the road so I'd be at a junction. So I could say, with the junction, it was Old Oak Road and another road. I can't remember what the other road was. So there we are. Sitting there. I'm parked right outside someone's house, who then arrived home and then parked into his garage. And isn't this nice, right? Excuse me. The bloke in the house then come out of his car and came over to me. Says, are you all right? Do you want a hand? How nice is that? How nice is that? You just don't get that these days, do you? Eh? Very nice. I said, no, I'm okay. I've just called the RAC and that's it. Fine. Gone back to sit in the car, and then I saw it behind me. The RAC breakdown truck arrived. It wasn't 20 minutes later. It was about 10 minutes later. That's all. So I'd waited. From the moment I rang the RAC, okay, to the moment this bloke arrived was about 20 minutes. Can't go wrong, can you? And all that costs me is about £55 a year. That breakdown cover. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. That's all I can say. So this car pulled round the side of me, and he parked up in front of me. I got out of the car, and then the breakdown truck, the door opened. Oh my God, and out stepped God. I couldn't believe my luck, dear. I thought, oh my God. I thought we were going to get some old git round about my age come out. Oh no, this bloke was stunning. He was good. He talked. He talked all a bit hard. Hello, mate, what's up? Oh, God, I thought that voice. I've come over all hot now, actually. I'm going to have to turn off my air conditioning in a minute. It's all too much. It's all too much for a Thursday night, isn't it, eh? So, 1 minute. So, this bloke started having a look over and seeing what was what. And he leant over the engine, and I carefully watched as he did his work. You know how it is. And I told him what the problem was. And he said, all right, well, I put the computer on it, and he somehow plugged his computer into the thing there. And says, it looks like it's a problem with one of the injectors. I thought, could it be a blocked fuel filter or something like that? I said, I don't really know much about cars. He said, could be, but I think it's more likely to be one of your injectors. Nothing I can do with this, mate. I'm going to have to tow you home. Where do you live? I said, well, Bracknell. He said, oh, OK, right, fine. I said, I've never been towed home before. He said, oh, don't worry about it. He said, I'll deal with everything here. He said, do you want to sit in the front of the car while I'm doing this? I said, no, I'll sit on the pavement so I could watch him. Sorry, I meant watch what he was doing. And oh, he was stunning, this bloke. Absolutely stunning. So he got on with his work, and then I thought when he said tow, I thought he was going to put a rope on the back, but of course not. He went into my boot. Well, I didn't actually see him go into the boot. He suddenly produced this. I can't have been paying attention. He suddenly produced this hook thing, which he then took a little on my front bumper. He removed a little bit of plastic and screwed this hook in. I said, "Oh, where'd you get one of those from?" He said, "From your boot." I said, oh, was it in the boot? He said, yeah, it's part of your little kit that they keep in the back there. So he screwed this little hook thing into the bumper. Or through the bumper, rather, onto the metal bit. And then he opened his back doors and pushed a button, and this rope came out. So he then attached the rope to this hook thing. Well, I thought that was it, didn't I? I thought, well, we'll be on our way now. And then he pushed another button, zzz, and his metal things came down like a ramp. Oh, it was all very exciting. Never seen this done before, you see. And cut a long story short, Eventually, once these ramps were down, he then he didn't need to start my car or anything. He pushed another button, and the rope that he'd attached to the bumper then pulled the car up onto the ramp. How fab is that? So that was done, and he says, right, we'll be on our way now. I said, do I sit in the car? He says, oh no, mate, you sit next to me in the van. I thought, well, that's a bit forward. I thought to myself, I've only known you a few minutes, and he's already asking me to sit back in the front of the car with him. Well, you don't know. I mean, you hear these stories, don't you? You never know what's going to happen. So I jumped then slowly and carefully into the front of the cab to be next to him. And off we went. And he put some lights on the back of my car as well that were plugged into his van, like a... you know when you see those signs that they put on the back of cars with lights? They've got lights on and they're plugged into the back of the van, especially when they're new cars or something like that. So that was that. And we were just driving home, and we went past one of his friends, and we hooted, and he waved, and I waved as well. This bloke looked at me as if I was from another planet, the other one. Anyway, I had no problem talking to this chap. Can you believe I never actually found out his name? Isn't that funny? Never found out his name. So we're driving home. Funnily enough, he was going on and on about his girlfriend, unfortunately. I was later kind of, oh, stop going on about your girlfriend, dear. Which was, we had a good old chat. Oh, yes, if you ever sit next to me in a car, don't worry, you won't fall asleep. I've got so much to talk about. Eventually, we got to my house. It's a fair old drive from London, so about a 45-minute drive with my car on the back there. 1 minute. Sorry, the old throat needs to be a bit cleared. Got back to my house. Now, where I am, it's pretty quiet. It's not like London. So, of course, it's now like 12:30 at night. We're parked outside my house, and he's got to do his bits and pieces. So as he's kind of taking the car back off the ramp, it's a bit noisy. I said, do you want a cup of tea? And he says, oh, yes, please. I said, how many sugars? It's 1 sugar. So I come back in the house, made a cup of tea, and made myself a cup of tea and brought it out to him. I said, do you want to come in and drink it in there? Oh, no, it's all right, mate. I think he he says, I'll drink it out here. So that was it. So he finished the job, and that was it, really. Finished a cup of tea, had a little bit more of a chat, and unfortunately, that's where he left, back home to his girlfriend. It was 12:30 at night, but, joking aside, damn good service from the RAC. If you ever want to join Breakdown, I remember my dad years ago with another breakdown company who will remain nameless, and on the occasions, he had to call them out. I always remember seemed to be waiting 3 or 4 hours for these people to come out. It was dreadful service. But the RAC certainly, I've had to call them out once before, and I think on both occasions, this occasion and the last occasion, not with the present car. I've only called them out once on this car, but last time as well, it was all there in half an hour. So very good service from the RAC. And yeah, okay, the bloke was a bit of a hunk, but quite apart from that, very professional, and he was really good at his job. Very pleasant to me, chatting all the way home. It just didn't go as far as I wanted it to. But there you are. You can't have anything. You can't have anything. So there we are. That's the story of the car. So, what's wrong with the car? I can hear you asking yourself, what could have been wrong with that car? We're going to have to save that for the next show, I'm afraid. Part 2 of the car story coming up in the next show, my darling. Why not now? Because there are emails. We don't want to fall behind with the emails like we did a few months ago, do we? Right, here we go then. First of all, by the way, once again, can I thank Gloria again in Florida for her lovely email to my sister about her dog Bruno. I think probably my sister will reply to you, though. Thanks again for that, Gloria. Okay. First of all, so part 2 of the car story in the next show, right? Right, first of all then, is an email from Wayne Anonymous, who says, hello, Chris. is this the picture of the cell phone you ordered? And he sent me a little picture of the cell phone. Well, I can do one better than a picture, because here is my brand new mobile phone. And it is, I love it. I love it. Now, for years and years and years, I have had Nokia phones. The reason I don't change manufacturers is because, by and large, the operating system and the way you work the phone tends to remain pretty similar if you stick with the same manufacturer. And for years and years, I've had a Nokia. Years. This time, I was attracted. I really quite like the iPhone. But unfortunately, it's not available on the particular service provider in this country, Orange. Okay, I'm with Orange, and I've no intention of changing my mobile phone service provider, because I've been very, very happy. I've actually been with them since she said to me on the phone the other day, I think it was 1993 or 1995. I've been with Orange that long. Always been happy with the service. Always been happy with the whole thing. Really, they're not the cheapest mobile phones I've found, or they weren't. They seem to be, fairly similar now. All the phone people, and unfortunately, the iPhone is not available on Orange. They are locked to, I think it's O2 here in the UK. Although some people tell me, I think my brother-in-law has managed to get an unlock code or something. But I don't like to, when it's all a bit dodgy like that. And if it stops working, you've had it, haven't you? However, looking around on the Orange site, I found the Samsung phone, which is the one I've got in front of me here. And it really is a lovely phone. It's very similar to the iPhone. It's got the whole touch thing, right? And you touch the screen and look at this and it changes and what have you. I know it's... Hang on, if I turn that... Let me just turn that light and see if that helps. There we are. There we go. And if you touch the screen and you just move things up and down like that, and it's just brilliant. It's just absolutely brilliant. It's got a little camera on the back there and a flashlight and what have you. And I'm so pleased with this phone. And I was very worried about the fact that it would be a different way of working it. But actually, I have taken to this like a duck to water, and it does appear that Samsung have done a lot of work so that I've literally had picked it up and been able to use it straight away. Some other advantages to this one, Wayne, is when someone calls me, okay, they can all have their own ringtone. My sister, she's got her own ringtone. I'll play it to you, actually. It's an old television thing. Oh, hang on now. How do I do this? Is it mute? I've done something wrong there. Hang on a minute. Sounds. Where is it now? Sounds. No, that's not it. Let's try that. I think it might be this one. Nope, not that one. Recently played, is it? Let's try that. Oh, there it is. Here's my sister's one. Listen. Oh, hang on. How do I play that? Or play it. Yeah, play. Here we are. All right. Can you hear that? Yeah, listen. So that's pretty powerful ringtone. That's the ringtone that goes off when my sister rings. Now, would you like to hear what the ringtone is for other people? For most people, hang on a minute. Where's my list thing? Right. For most people, they get this, right? Yes! Ha ha! Do you like it? Yes, gang, it's the theme music to this show. And that's what you... Oh. Right. And that one comes on when... Oh, hang on, it won't stop now. There we are. And that one comes on whenever I get a text message. But when anyone sort of not relatively close to me rings, it's the theme music to the show that is my ringing tone. How fantastic is that? So very, very pleased with this phone indeed. The Samsung... oh, excuse me. Did you hear that? I just burped on the radio. I do apologise. Nothing. I wasn't aware. It just happened. It just came out. There's nothing I can do. I'm sorry. So very pleased indeed with that phone, and well done to Samsung. Oh, here it is. Here's the model number is SGHF480. Fantastic little phone. More importantly than anything else, it was free. I haven't had to pay a penny for it. Free upgrade. Which is a lot cheaper than I've had to pay for the repair of my car, but not today. The rest of the car story will be in the next show, okay? Thank you, Anonymous. Who also writes, the promotional material states that this cell phone makes a fashion statement. Oh, I don't know about that. He says, could it be that you purchased this model cell phone as a fashion accessory to complement the hairpiece Suko sent you? Well, I don't know. Do you think the two of them would go together? The hairpiece at the moment is actually on the wall behind me. Can you see that? He says, regarding your personal safety, I think it's time for you to buy turn signals for your bicycle to fend off those rude automobile drivers. Yeah, well, do you remember that? Last week that was. Dreadful piece of driving by some woman, I'm afraid, who, although I had my hand out like that to turn right, but she still came round me. Blooming outrage. And a similar thing happened to me was it yesterday? Day before yesterday, I was cycling back from the local DIY store, actually. Well, I just popped in there. What did I buy? Can't remember what I bought now. Some sort of electrical piece. What did I buy in that? Oh, I can't remember now. Bought something in. Was it the two light bulbs here? Oh, it was these two daylight bulbs that I've bought. Yeah, for the video side of things. Yeah, and I'm cycling along quite slowly. I heard a car coming behind me, and there's a side road. Okay, so there's a side road just coming up on the left. Anyway, I heard this car behind me put its foot down. And I continued to cycle. And as I've got to this side road, all I suddenly heard was a squeaking of brakes, and this car was next to me, indicating left. So clearly, this stupid woman, another woman, I'm afraid, I'm sorry, girls, you're not in my good books at the moment, was another woman. She wasn't particularly young. She would have been about 30, 35 years old. And clearly, she thought she was going to overtake me and turn left, but she didn't make it. I mean, I know I go slow, but I don't go that slow, dear. God almighty. They're all they're all out to kill me. I think there's an assassination attempt being on me by drivers. I'm going to have to disguise myself when I'm in the car. It's the only way, dear. It's the only way. Now, Anonymous goes on to say, I think it's, yes, how about sewing light-emitting diodes down the sleeves on a jacket? I believe you can actually buy one of those jackets, can't you? I'm sure I've seen those somewhere. When you hold out your arm, the diodes will turn on one at a time from your elbow to your wrist. This will point the direction that you are turning. Patent pending design by Anonymous Products. Matching gloves are also available, with either one finger only being lighted to demonstrate your displeasure, or all 5 fingers illuminated for friendly gestures. Use of this item is at your own risk. Thank you, Wayne. I like the idea there. I'm sure you can buy one of those jackets. Or it might have been that we have this programme here in the UK called Dragon's Den, right? Where people go with ideas, and the dragons are 5 people, 5 millionaire people who are sitting there with loads of money and want to invest the money. So, for example, if you went there with your idea, then you would go in front of these 5 people, demonstrate your idea, and say, I need £100,000 to do whatever. And then they would say yes or no, and they would start quizzing you. And I'm sure at some point I've seen a jacket like that on there. Someone trying to get money for designing and making one of those jackets. I don't know if anyone else remembers that, do you? Oh, well. On we go. Oh, by the way, have I given you the email address to the show today? I can't remember now. Email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. All right, once again, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Look who it is. It's our friend Susan. Hello, Susan, my darling, our cat lover. Susan, yes, she's the one that looks after the cats, and she lives very near Southfork Ranch. Now, we were talking about the whole Dallas thing a couple of shows ago. And she says, "Hi, Chris. Before I tell you about the Dallas reunion, I want to tell you about an incident that was in the news years ago about a call received by a computer help desk. It was so funny that they wrote about it. A man called the help desk wanting to know where he could get a part for his computer. He told them that his cup holder had broken, that it needed a replacement for it. As usual, the help desk was in India, and the poor technician was befuddled." That's a good word, isn't it? Befuddled. We like that. "After getting a supervisor on the phone, it came to light that the poor customer had been using his CD and DVD slots as cup holders, and the weight of the drinks had snapped them off. Stupid people, dear. Do you know, there are just some things that you think, how on earth could someone do something as stupid as that, aren't you? And that's one of them, isn't it? Right, Susan goes on. "Now, for the Dallas reunion, I have known about the Dallas reunion you mentioned for about 3 weeks now and had looked into going. I had one of my feelings that if I went, I would get to speak to Larry Hagman." Fantastic. That is fantastic to be able to talk to him. "I had an idea for a Christmas present for my little buddy Chris Reardon. However, after looking at the price of the tickets, I decided against going. The cheapest ticket to go to this Dallas reunion is $100. 50 quid. For that, well, I say 50 quid. Actually, the pound, I don't know if anyone follows the money markets or anything like that, but the pound is not having a good time at the moment. We are now dropping against the dollar. It's unbelievable to think that just a couple of months ago we were getting $2 to the pound. We're now only getting $1.76, I think it was the last time I looked. So things are not good at the moment, are they? For that, you get to stand for $100. For that, you get to stand up all day, and you are in the front of Southfork. The pool and patio, where the event will be staged, is actually the back door. You also don't get to eat the barbecue. Okay? They're the $100 tickets. Let's go up the scale a bit. The $250 tickets are by the pool and driveway. You are assigned seats at tables with a meal and drinks. You also have a wonderful view of the stars. But the price, she says, $250. I could buy several large palm trees for that price. So I figured what Chris Reardon didn't know wouldn't hurt him. Chris Reardon would never find out about this reunion since he was in England, and I could save myself the price of a ticket. I really wanted to go, but my common sense was telling me it was a ridiculous way to spend the money. But it seems that someone up there wants me to go and make their little Chris Reardon happy. So, after work today, I'm going to pick up my ticket. And no, I am not paying £1,000 to have cocktails with the stars. But I will pay $250 to sit by the pool. I should have a wonderful view of everything. I'm going to take my digital camera and also my binocular digital camera. That way, I should get some wonderful pictures. Blimey, I mean, that's a lot of money. I didn't realise the tickets were that dear. I'll be honest with you, Susan. $250, that's £125. Would I pay that? we're talking about Barry Manilow the other week, wasn't I? That he's performs in Las Vegas. But when I see the total price of the package that my friend Justin wanted to spend, I sort of, that's just not worth it. there is a limit to common sense. $250 to sit by the pool at Southfork. Would I pay that? Yeah, I would. I think for one day, £125, $250. For that one, I think I would pay, actually, Susan. The experience of being able to say that you sat so close and what have you. Susan says, Chris Reardon, I do believe you are psychic. What made you check that website about Dallas? I don't know. It just kind of dropped into my head, Susan. You are going to owe me big time for this. You better warm up your vocal cords because this event and pictures are going to cost you 2 songs. Rhinestone Cowboy was wonderful. I already have the songs in mind that I want you to sing. So, you're going to be singing for the expensive supper I will be having at Southfork. Well, at least you get something to eat there as well, Susan. I mean, look at it this way. How much would you spend on food in the day, okay? How much would you have spent that day on other things? Maybe you would have gone out somewhere else or doing shopping. Well, you've got to take that all off the $250, you see, haven't you? And then that will be the true price. Oh, can you... There's a new text coming in on my oh, I think that was a text, was it? I haven't quite learned completely how to use this phone yet, unfortunately. But we will get... Was that a text coming in? Oh, no, it wasn't. I think I might have just touched the phone and set the thing off. So there we are, Susan. Thank you very much for that. I'm sure you'll have a marvellous time when you go there. Oh, look at it. I'm out of time today. I've got an email here from Suko, Ross and Matthew as well to read out on the next show. Thanks, as always, for joining me. The email address, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. See you on the next show. Bye-bye now.